Today I'm going to show you how to remove the front and rear wheel from a Ducati Monster 1100S. This is a 2009, but these same steps can work for pretty much any other single-sided swing arm bike or for pretty much any other motorcycle as well. The first thing you need to really consider is to find a place to do your work that is in an enclosed area that you can leave your bike for a while. If you're swapping out tires, obviously that's going to take a little bit of time. So doing this outside is not advised. Step one is to remove the retainer clip with some needle nose pliers. Then you want to get everything hand loose on the ground before you put it up on the jack stands, just because while it's on the kickstand, it's going to be a lot more stable. You don't want to be torquing anything while on jack stands because you could risk the bike falling down or something like that. I highly advise using air tools or an impact driver, something like that. It's going to work the best. This rear nut can be really tight. One thing you can do is to put the bike in gear, put a foot on the brake, or have a friend sit on the bike with their foot on the brake and use a rubber mallet to tap that thing off. If it doesn't come off, do not strip it. Ducati parts are obviously expensive to replace, so one thing I did was I went to an auto shop and brought all my tools and just had them use their air tools and bust that back nut off, and then I tighten it back up so I could get it off again, put the retaining clip back in, and then rode the bike home. Obviously you want to torque it down pretty well before you ride it home. So once you get that thing off, just hand tight, make sure that everything is able to get off pretty easily before you put it on the stands. Step two, do the exact same thing for the front, just hand tight. Step three, remove the front fender. You want to do this so it doesn't get scratched by your front stand by accident, or if you drop something on it or anything like that. I always take it off. This is your time to get a good wax on it if you want to. Since it's off the bike, it's much easier. Step four, loosen the calipers. Again, these can be on fairly tight, so it's a lot easier if you do this while your bike's on its kickstand. Step five, go ahead and loosen the pinch bolts on the bottom of the fork. There's 4 bolts. Just loosen those things up again while your bike's still on the ground. Step six, go ahead and put the bike on its rear stand. If you've never done this before, I'd ask a friend to help stabilize your bike for you. I always like to do the rear first, and it is pretty easy once you get the hang of it. One thing I like to also do is to put my foot next to the wheel, acts kind of like a little chalk. That makes it a little easier. Step seven, put the bike on the front stand. Go ahead and line the bike up. You want to stick this little pin in the hole under your frame and triple clamp. Again, use your foot to brace it as you lift the bike up. Step 8, remove the rear wheel, remove the nut, and make sure you take off the little washer. You don't want to leave this on and accidentally lose it, so put that in your parts tray as well. Step 9, so now that you got the wheel off and you have access to the whole rear swing arm, I like to take a moment and inspect for any damage. Use brake cleaner, clean out the rear caliper and check the pads, make sure they're good to go. Step 10, go ahead and mask your rims off and take off your caliper bolts. I like to do this just because I don't like having dinged up rims, and this is just a real quick thing you can do to make sure that doesn't happen. Step 11, go ahead and remove the axle bolt and the axle. Notice how I use my feet to kind of prop and secure that front wheel from rolling around. You can use a little wooden block or something like that. I just like using my feet to do it. Notice how I haven't removed the calipers just quite yet. I like to leave them in just because it gives you a little bit more space when you can manipulate the wheel to get those calipers out. Step 12, go ahead and remove the calipers. If they're real tight, you may need to stick something in there to spread the pads apart just a little bit to make it easier to get off. One thing you also want to do is find something to place the calipers on so they're not hanging by your brake lines. That can cause unneeded stress on them. So get a chair or stool or something like that to put your calipers on while you're going to be gone taking care of your tires. Okay, the last step, go ahead and slide that front wheel out of there. You want to make sure that you grab the spacers out. And what I like to do is to grab my front axle and slide those spacers back on it and secure it with that nut, just to make sure that I have everything and that it's in the correct order that I took it off. So it's just a way for me to keep everything together and remind myself how to put everything back together. So that's about it. Ducati wheel removal. Please leave me any feedback, things that you thought I could have done better, questions, comments, concerns, things that you thought I did well. Feedback's very important to me. So if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to this channel. Also, there is a part 2, how to put the wheels back on. So stay tuned for that. All right, thanks for watching.